a lot of brothers might have been nerds. They was smart. They was bookworms, right? And I've heard brothers say this, and sisters wasn't feeling them. They was teasing them. Man, I ain't feel, you ain't cool. You know, they was after the cool brothers. And now sisters want them, but they like, oh, you wasn't feeling me back in the day while these white girls were.
What it is, what it do. Welcome back to my channel. Today we doing a video on Broussard talking about why black athletes, the deadly conversation, why black athletes are dating white women. If anybody's familiar with Broussard, he works at FSN. He used to work at ESPN, but he's been with FSN for like 5-6 years now. So it's just a quick, it's just a quick video real quick. It's just a quick segment as to him explaining based on the information that he gathered as to why athletes are just out of nowhere, it seems like all of them are dating white women. So let's get into it.
It's like one of the biggest slap in the face to black women on the NFL and NBA draft days when the men are transitioning into the league. They turn and kiss their mama and they turn and hug that white woman, right? We see it all over, and it pissed black women off. You see black Twitter, Shade Room comments, and see people be slick. Like Shade Room, they know what they do. They'll just post congratulations to Todd Turner, and they'll make sure they zoom in on him hugging that white girl, right? They don't even mention her, but you see the comments light up because people pissed off. Another one gone, right? Now, I know you rub shoulders with a lot of these brothers and probably have had some real conversations around the mindset. What are some of the things those brothers are saying when you in that sports world on why they chose, even though they got that black mama, that whole black family in that black living room, but they got that white girl sitting on the couch? Have you ever had a conversation to why they chose to make that decision?
Well, first of all, you are right that black women generally, including the mothers that I've spoken to about it, they generally take it as an insult to them.
No way.
Like, you chose the opposite of what I am. I mean, whether it is, I'm not saying it is an insult to them, but that's how a lot of black women take it.
Wow.
I'm talking about the mothers even. But I think there's a few things, and again, you fall in love with somebody, you fall in love with them. But I think there's a lot of reasons you see that. And one, a lot of times the brothers go to, big time college program, white school. And a lot of times the white girls are throwing themselves at them, and just really going at them, hard, right? And then there's situations where this is not so much with athletes, but just a lot of maybe successful men in the corporate world. A lot of times they might have been, not all, but a lot of brothers might have been nerds. They was smart. They was bookworms, right? And I've heard brothers say this, and sisters wasn't feeling them. They was teasing them. Man, I ain't feel, you ain't cool. They was after the cool brothers, the athletes and all that. And so then they become successful, and now sisters want them, but they like, oh, you wasn't feeling me back in the day while these white girls were.
Listen. When you young and you enter puberty and you don't fully understand who you are or what you can be and all this other stuff, and you're black, like let's stay in the community, right? You black, even if you especially if you from the hood, you don't have that hip hop culture in you with the way you dress, with the way you walk, the way you carry yourself. I'm not gonna go as far as saying like you run in the streets or you're a gang member, but if you just don't have that hip hop culture or you don't have that edge to you at that young age yet, yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult for you if you want to date black women, right? Because that's just typically how it goes, especially when you're coming from the hood. Now, when that happens to you, and especially if you get clowned for it, you're gonna remember that and it's not out of spite. It's not that you grow up and you just doing whatever it is you doing out of spite just to, have revenge later on. But that's something that they include in their program or their beliefs, is that, nah, when I was younger, You know what I'm saying? I wanted to date black women, but black women didn't want to date me. You know what I'm saying? And this is something that I've heard numerous athletes say. And in today's world, the athletes, do you know that majority of players on the Oklahoma City Thunder, they date white women? I don't have an issue with them dating white women. I'm just saying, because I personally believe you date who you love, right? I don't care. Even if somebody come to me about it, I don't want to hear your mother's black, because y'all only say that when guys date white women. You don't say that when a guy dates a Spanish woman or an Asian woman or whatever the case may be. Y'all only say that when they go and date white women. Y'all don't say none of that. Your mother's black, but you only use that when he's dating a white woman. You don't say that about no other race, but that's here nor there. I don't care about that. I personally believe everybody, man and woman, you date whoever it is you love and who loves you. So that's that. But with that being said, they remember that. So when they grow up, and a lot of athletes today, they come from, because I got to do a video on this, but the NBA is starting to become a rich family sport where less and less there are players that have backstories of them playing in the playground, then they, whatever, they were just so talented at basketball that they played in high school, they were the best player in high school, then they went on to college, or they went straight to the league. Those things are not happening anymore. You almost all the time have to go through AAU and then go to college, and then, you know what I'm saying? So, and AAU costs a lot of money. So it's becoming a rich family sport, and what happens is people from the hood are being priced out of being able to make it to the league, right? So with that being said, what I'm saying is a lot of these athletes that don't have that edge when they're younger, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. Everybody that's black cannot come from the hood and should not praise coming from the hood. There should not be a badge of honor that, I came from the hood, I got it out the mud, I came from nothing. That should not be a badge of honor. It is what it is, but it's not a badge of honor to talk about that later on. So what I'm saying is, it's okay if they didn't come from the hood, but what's happening is when they don't have that edge at a young age, black women tend to not want to date them at that age. They want to date somebody that has an edge that can protect her, whatever the bullshit that they be saying, or whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying is, they typically don't have that edge, so they never dated a black girl when they were younger. So then when they grow up, they just dated white women. They dated white women or women from different races. They dated everything except a black American woman or African or African American woman. They dated everything except that, because those are women y'all didn't want him when he was younger. This is 100% facts.
And so that's something brothers have said. And then I also think that, I mentioned kind of white supremacy and racism being ingrained in Black American culture. I think in our culture, it's not all of us, but a good number of us, light skin and straight hair, or is considered superior.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
hold on real quick.
Like a lot of times, a brother might look for a light skinned sister, right? That's got straight hair, or whatever. But think about it. Any white person, white girl, she white and she got straight hair. Any one of them gonna look good. That's why sometimes you've seen brothers with, you wonder, wow,
why you do that?
She's not as fine, But to him, she got straight hair and her skin is light. Mm-hmm. And so I think all of those things, it's a combination of various things. And again, some brothers just genuinely fall in love with a white woman, and that's fine too. But I just think when you won't date sisters, that's when it's a problem.
I like that take, man. See, I like Chris Broussard, man, because y'all gotta understand, Chris Broussard is a professional. Y'all gonna see him.
Real quick, I agree with that 100%. That's the end of the video. I agree with that 100%. As I said before, I don't care. You date who wants to. You be with who wants to be with you. It doesn't matter. That's race, gender. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying, but what I tend to agree with, I never said this, but since he said it, I actually agree with that. What I tend to agree with is fellas that I come across when we do have these conversations, what I don't kind of want to hear is, nah, you're black, American. Nah, I won't date a black woman at all. And it's kind of like that's a little too much for me. I understand if you say, nah, I want to, like, I like snow bunnies, I like white women, I like Spanish, I like whoever it is you like. I like hearing it because I like to learn people's perspectives as to why they come to not the conclusion, but why they have the belief that they have. I tend to ask, and I like to absorb people's perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Not to change my perspective, but it just, I don't know, it just makes me a more well-rounded person to hear people out and understand why they believe what they believe, right? But when I hear, nah, I will not, as a black man, I will not date a black woman, I don't know, I can't get with that. Me personally, even if those are the reasons where, yo, when I was young, I couldn't get a black shorty, you know what I'm saying? So I date white women and I won't date a black woman, that's a little too much for me. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with that. Like, you know, me personally, I'll date whoever wants to date me. You know what I'm saying? But I would never say, and this ain't got nothing to do with the color of my mom or my dad. This has nothing to do with it because I'm not dating my mom. My father's dating my mom. So I don't understand why people think that they can throw that out there as if that's supposed to just change my experiences or change what I believe or change how I think about the dating scenario. However, I will never say that I won't date a black woman. I'm gonna date whoever wants to date me. That's where I leave it at. But for the individuals that say, no, I want to date a white woman and I don't want to date a black woman, I can't get on board with that. Can't get on board with that. So, you know, that's the video. You know, I was just leaving you with this quick video, you know, with Chris Broussard. I've been watching him on TV for years. You know what I'm saying? You know, the bros, if you're watching this video, you know who Chris Broussard is. You know what I'm saying? This is nothing. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this video. If you do like my videos, you know, stay tuned. I got 2 videos on the back end here. You could click one of them and you could continue watching another video. Peace.
But wait, there's more.
College athletes. Why are all these black college athletes that are getting drafted having white women? What's going on? I am going to tell you, as someone that is friends with a lot of D1 football players and D1 basketball players, I'm going to tell you because they have told me. Whoa. Before I get into this, I want to make it clear I'm only into black women. I'm just telling you what they have told me. My man said, bro, how many white women have you seen do the Meg Thee Stallion challenge? And he said, excluding the ones that think they're 2 shades away from being Lotto. I said, probably only 1. He said, okay. No, 5 of my guys that play on Division I Power 5 football teams, and they start. They were like, goody, you know the type of NIL deals we got. One of my men said, bro, I was messing with this black girl. She heard about the deal I got and started to request money, Apple Pays and Cash Apps, for her hair and nails. I said, oh shit. My other friends were saying, bro, I would try to take her out to Chipotle, Kava, this and that. She would get mad talking about, why are we going to steakhouses? You're good for it. I said, oh shit. They were like, bro, the white women, they're down to go and get a cup of coffee, go and get some fucking ice cream. My friends were like, bro, the white women we're dating, they pay for a lot of our stuff. I said, what do you mean? They said, bro, they know that we're making some money, but while we're at practice or we're at camp, they got us our favorite Cabo Bowl, double chicken, right? Waiting for them to come out of practice. My friends were telling me these girls are getting their group projects done, getting their essays done, online tests done, on time. I said, wait, what? I said, bro, what about maintenance? There's no way y'all not paying for her hair, nails, bags, her lifestyle. He said, bro, first of all, my girl will get her own Starbucks and even get me one, but if I want to be nice, I'll get her something, you know, from Starbucks. And they were like, hair and nails. They don't even care about the nails, really, you know. And if they do it themselves. Sometimes I pitch in, and I was like, all right, what about hair? They're like, bro, she's white. She just brushes it. We're flat irons, and she wants to be special. I said, Jesus Christ, you guys are saving a lot of money. One of my men said this. He just got drafted. He said, bro, I was dating a black girl. Now I'm dating a white girl. I'm about to marry her. He said the difference between the black girl and the white girl, the biggest difference is the white girl knows when to shut the fuck up. I said, God damn. Listen, this is what they told me. Do with the information as you please. If it takes me 10 to 15 years to find a black woman that's compatible with me, that's what I'm going to do. But this is what they told me. So stop being surprised.